بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي ليس لقضائه دافع ولا لعطائه مانع، الذي حفظتني في المهد طفلا صبيا ورزقتني من الغضاء لبنا مريا، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين البشير النذير والسراج المنير سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتخبين المنتجبين الذين كلامهم نور وأمرهم رشد ووصيتهم التقوى وفعلهم الخير وعادتهم الإحسان وسجيتهم الكرم، لا سيما على مهدي هذه الأمة وطاووس أهل الجنة الحجة بن الحسن العسكري، أرواحنا فداء. قال مولانا علي بن الحسين صلوات الله وسلامه عليه: السلام عليك يا أمين الله في أرضه وحجته على عباده، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين، أشهد أنك جاهدت في الله حق جهاده وعملت بكتابه واتبعت سنن نبيه حتى دعاك الله إلى جواره. Our discussion continues analyzing the lines of Ziyaratul Muqaddasa, Ziyarat Aminullah. And yesterday we came and entered into the second stage of this ziyarah, where Imam Sajjad alayhi salam speaks about the qualities of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam and bear witnesses to certain things that Imam Ali alayhi salam had performed in his life. And yesterday we mentioned that Imam Sajjad alayhi salam begins by saying that he bear witnesses that Amir al-Mu'mineen Salamullahi alayhi struggled in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the way that a person should struggle, i.e. he gave the haqq of struggling in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He gave it its haqq, he gave it its right and what it deserves. Continuing then, the Imam says, after he says, Ashhadu annaka jahadta fillah, haqqa jihade, he says, wa amilta bi kitabih. And I bear witness that you acted on the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wa taba'ta sunana nabiyyih, and you followed the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. In analyzing these two lines of the ziyarah, we understand that the Holy Imam alayhi salam is claiming that of the qualities and traits and virtues of Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam is that he acts on the book of God and the sunnah. And to analyze this, we first have to deal with a question. For the shurrah, those that have commentated and analyzed Ziyarat Aminullah, the ulama, they bring up a very important question and they give its answer. They say, look, when we say that Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam acted on the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam, acted on the kitab of Allah, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is this necessarily a merit? Is this necessarily seen to be a virtue within which he was above everyone else? I.e., we understand that me and you also, we have been told to act on the book of God and act on the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam. Normally, we'd see a normal mu'min, a normal believer, and would say that this mu'min acts on the sunnah of God, acts on the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam and the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so when Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says, I bear witness that you did these things, where then necessarily is there a virtue and fadila of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam? Rather, this is something that even a normal mu'min is classified as having, acting on the book of God and the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam. And so the ulama came to answer this question as to why the Imam would mention this in a ziyarah when we're mentioning the fada'il and the virtues of Amir al-Mu'mineen. How necessarily is this a virtue within which he becomes greater than all others? Greater than the other mu'min and other people? How do these qualities give him virtue and fadila over others? And so then the ulama came to answer what exactly was meant by the statement that you acted on the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam and the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For a normal mu'min also does the same. One opinion that was given in this regard is that here what was being done is what is known in Arabic rhetoric and literature as ta'rith. What was ta'rith? Ta'rith is used a lot in Quran al-Kareem. Ta'rith is used in riwayat, and ta'rith often solves a lot of issues that people have. And that's why it's so important, and that's why we understand that when a mujtahid or a faqih or a jurist delves into riwayat of Ahlul Bayt, delves into understanding Quran al-Kareem. Before that, he spends years studying the Arabic language and Arabic literature and Arabic poetry, for example, so that he can understand what Quran is saying, what ahadith are saying. Often we have ta'reed. What is ta'reed? Ta'reed is when one thing is said in front of one person, addressing one person, but what is intended is either addressing someone else, or we're trying to indicate a certain meaning for someone else. I say one thing to one person in front of me, either I'm saying it to that one person, but I intend someone else that's also listening, or I say one thing to one person, but that isn't necessarily what I'm trying to say. There is something else that I'm trying to hint at and highlight and indicate, which comes from that kalam. Is there an example? I'll give you a very simple example to understand ta'rif. There is, for example, a teacher. He has one student that he's had for years. Let's say this teacher has had this student for 5 or 6 years, and he's become like his son. There's a father-son relationship between them two. Then a new student comes. This new student doesn't know the teacher as well as the other one. Naturally, he won't be as comfortable with him. The teacher realizes that this new student, for example, he doesn't work as well. He, for example, isn't a diligent student, doesn't work hard. But because the student is new, if I tell him directly, maybe he'll get upset. Maybe he won't be happy with me telling him to his face. So what does the teacher do? In front of the class, that student who is close to him, he tells him, he says, for example, make sure that before you come to the lesson, you read the lesson from before. So what you're going to study today, you read the night before so that you're prepared. And make sure that after the lesson has finished, you write up your notes completely. And make sure that you do this and do that. Even though that student who's a good student does all of these things, but this kalam was mentioned to one person, but what was intended was someone else to understand. This was an example of ta'rif. And we find this in Quran al-Kareem so many times that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the Prophet of Islam, for example, stay on the right path, Ya Rasulullah. Don't allow your carnal desires to overtake you. Does that mean that the Prophet of Islam was going to commit sin, was thinking about sin? Of course not. Those people that looked at these verses of Quran and somehow understood that the Prophet of Islam, na'udhu billah, wanted to commit a sin. We have those that say that Nabi Yusuf wanted to commit a sin. Obviously, these people didn't study Arabic literature and ma'ani and bayan to understand ta'rif. One thing is being said to one student, what is meant is someone else. Likewise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says something to the Prophet of God, but what he's trying to what he's trying to do is address me and you. This is one example of ta'rif. Or sometimes, as I said, one thing is said, but from that kalam and speech, something else is intended for someone else. If that has been understood, the ulama say likewise here, one opinion was ta'reed was being done. Meaning what? Meaning when they said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, I bear witness that you acted on the Quran and Sunnah. This was an ishara, an indication that there were certain people that claimed positions of power and authority in the Muslim world, and they couldn't even do this. And so compared to those individuals who couldn't even act on the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam, rather they made their own sunnah, rather they, for example, removed certain sunnah of the Prophet of Islam, compared to those people, look at Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. So this was an ishara and an indication to something else, that there are people who have positions of authority or have taken positions of leadership, yet they can't even do the basics of acting on Quran and Sunnah. Look at Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, how he is the emblem of acting on Quran and Sunnah of Allah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So some said this was what was intended, and this was ta'reed, that look at our leader who acts on Quran, who acts on Sunnah of the Prophet of Islam. The other idea is, no, what was meant here is, look, as I said, every other believer is to follow the Quran, follow the Sunnah. What made Amirul Mu'mineen different to me and you, one of the things rather, there are many things in regards to Quran and Sunnah that make him different. But what made him different is that he acted completely on Quran and Sunnah. The Sunnah of the Prophet of Islam, the Book of God, he completely implemented it in his life compared to me and you. For I see what I like from Quran al-Kareem, I see what I like from the Sunnah of the Prophet of Islam, and I act on it. What I don't like, what doesn't fit my nature and my mizaj, I ignore and I stay away from it. But when Imam Sajjad says, أشهد أنك جاهدت في الله حق جهاده وعملت بكتابه واتبعت سنن نبيه, you acted on the book of God, you acted on the Sunnah, i.e. completely. Every single part of that book of God was part of your lahm, was part of your blood, was part of your flesh. Every single part of the Sunnah of the Prophet of Islam was implemented by you in your life. And so this was what was meant by these two statements. If that has been understood, now we come to analyze both of them and see in the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam how we see him to act on the Sunnah of the Prophet of Islam and the Kitab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we come to the Amal ala Kitabillah, acting on the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we know, acting on the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can only take place when I have knowledge of the book of God. I.e., if a person doesn't know what is in the book of God, how can he act upon it? And so martabatul amal, the level of action, comes after the knowledge of the level of knowledge. First I have knowledge of the book of God, then I go to act upon the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We find in the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullah alayhi many aspects of the ilm of Quran al-Kareem. Sometimes today we hear the word alim a lot. This person is alim, that person is alim. We use it a lot in our day-to-day life. This is a alim, this is a scholar. In the eyes of Ali bin Abi Talib salamullah alayhi, have you ever asked who is classified as a scholar? Who does Amir al-Mu'mineen classify as an alim? We may call anyone an alim. It's very easy for us to use the word alim. Often we're very easy to give titles, but in the eyes of Ali bin Abi Talib salamullah alayhi, who is classified as alim? Sayyid al-Khu'i in his Al-Bayan fi Tafsir al-Quran mentions a riwayah where Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam would call Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari alim, a scholar. Why? Because Jabir knew the tafasir of certain verses of Quran al-Kareem. I.e., in the eyes of Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullah alayhi, a person who has knowledge of Quran is classified as alim. A person who has knowledge of the verses of Quran where they were revealed and what they are alluding to was classified as an alim. And we find in the life of Ali bin Abi Talib many examples of his knowledge of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether it be when Ibn Abbas, if you look in even the Sunni school of tafsir, you have certain companions who are well known for knowing the exegesis and the tafsir of Quran al-Kareem. If you look in the books of Ahl Sunnah in the tafsir, they have certain companions that are often quoted knowing the tafsir of this verse and that verse. He had this example, he had this opinion, that person had that opinion. Of the people who is very well known in tafsir of Quran al-Kareem is Ibn Abbas, seen to be one of the best mufassirin of Quran al-Kareem. But where did Ibn Abbas get his knowledge of Quran al-Kareem from? Ibn Abbas said, I came one day to Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullah alayhi to get the tafsir of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I wanted the tafsir, the analysis of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. He says, I came after Salatul Maghrib wal Isha and I sat with Abu al-Hasan alayhi salam until all of the night went. All of the night passed and I was involved and indulged in listening and taking and learning from the tafsir of Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam until the light of Fajr entered upon the horizon, i.e. all of the night has gone. He says, until that light of Fajr entered into the horizon and we had not even finished covering the letter Ba of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. That is how much depth was in the heart of Ali bin Abi Talib in regards to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of the night. If it was any other person, if it was any other speaker, if it was a person who wasn't infallible, could say, for example, I speak for 1 hour, let's say 10, 15 minutes of that is that which is on topic. The rest is, for example, off topic. A speaker who is not ma'soom, he'll have this amount of time, but a lot of it he'll waffle from here and there. Ali ibn Abi Talib is ma'soom. All of that night he spends delving into the layers of just the ba of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And that's why we find, in regards to the knowledge of Quran al-Kareem of Ali ibn Abi Talib, when that Khilafatul Zahiriyya is given to him in the last few years of his life, he enters into the masjid, he goes onto the minbar, and this is one of the occasions when he mentions Saluni, Saluni qabla an tafqiduni, ask me before you leave me. And he says, on that occasion, as soon as he gets onto the minbar, and this itself has a lot of hikmah and wisdom behind it. Why, as soon as he gets Khilafatul Zahiriyya, does he say this? Why does he tell people to ask him questions about this? As soon as he's given that Khilafah, he goes onto the minbar, ask me questions about the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For I know at what time it was revealed, where the Prophet of Islam was when it was revealed, what the reason was behind its revelation. I know whether it was revealed whilst the Prophet of Islam was on the mountains or whether he was not on the land. Ask me about the book of God, because I am the most knowledgeable, currently the most knowledgeable on this earth about the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he says, and if anyone claims to be more knowledgeable than me currently of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that person is incorrect. For Ali is a'lam in regards to the kitab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at that moment in time. And why did he mention that with regards to khilafah and authority? Maybe he was telling us, understand that you take that person as your wali, and you take that person as your amir, and you take that person as your master who has complete knowledge of this book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I don't have ilm of Quran al-Kareem, how then can I have amal? Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam is that person who every single moment of the life of the Prophet of Islam, he spends taking from the knowledge of the Prophet of Islam. That's what I remember. There was a Sunni scholar, one of the sons of the big ulama of Ahl Sunnah. And a person came to him and said, who was the best companion of the Prophet of Islam? Or which companions were the best companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Can you tell me which companions were the best? So he mentioned certain names. This person said, you mentioned all of these people, but you forgot Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. All of these people you mentioned, you forgot Ali ibn Abi Talib salamullah alayhi. So that person says, no, I didn't forget. You've made a mistake. You've made a mistake. For Ali ibn Abi Talib salamullah alayhi is not part of the companions of the Prophet of Islam. Ali ibn Abi Talib is part of the Ahlul Bayt of the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alayhi. And there's a difference between the two. For the family and the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam are there every single moment of the Prophet of Islam's life. They see all that takes place. They are there in wahi. They are there in revelation. They take from the knowledge of the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. And that's why if someone was to ask me, why do I take Ali ibn Abi Talib salamullahi alayhi to be my master and leader after the Prophet of Islam? Because he was the closest to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi than any other individual. And he had the most knowledge of Quran al-Kareem after the Prophet of Islam compared to any other. So when Imam Sajjad said you acted on the book of God, you cannot act on the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unless there is what? Unless there's ilm of the book of God. So when it then comes to acting on the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is Shahr Ramadan, the Shahr of Quran al-Kareem. I've already mentioned previously how every single one of us should try as much as we can to work with the book of God, interact with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, act on the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, take lessons in the Holy Quran. In regards to acting on the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hadith is mentioned on the day of Qiyamah. Now, as we know, on the day of Qiyamah, people will be in different groups. يَوْمَ نَدْعُو كُلَّ أُنَاسٍ بِإِمَامِهِمْ. Everyone is called up with their leaders, who I took to be my leader in this world. I'll be brought up and resurrected with that person. Whether he's ma'soom, ghair ma'soom, whether he's follower of a religion, not follower of a religion, believes in God or not, whoever I took to be my leader, whoever I followed in my actions, I'm going to be resurrected with them. The riwayah says groups of people are standing and they see a very beautiful youth walk by. And the riwayah says when these groups of see this beautiful youth come by, they have a habit. For example, someone who's very well known or famous. I had someone in my family who was a genius, or whatever it may be, someone who is spectacular, who is well known, who is popular, even if they lived hundreds of years ago or they live today. I'll always try to mention them, or I'll always ensure people know that that person is part of my family. If there's a person in my family who is well known, who was a genius, who invented something, whatever it may have been, who was a big alim, often I'll try and tell people, or I'll always attribute that person towards me. I'll mention his name a lot. I'll say that person is part of my family. Or, you know, I'm from this person's family. This is the nature of the human being. Exactly the same thing is going to happen in the day of Qiyamah. People see this youth and they say he's so beautiful. There's so much nur on his face that everyone is claiming that that person belongs to us. He's part of us, he's part of us, he's part of us. Everyone is claiming. Everyone claims that that person belongs to us. He's part of our family, our group, our sect, whatever it may be. And as that person is walking and they say, come to us, you're part of us, he denies. He doesn't go to them. He carries on further and further and further until a call comes out and says, this person doesn't belong to any of you. Rather, this person is the embodiment of Quranul Kareem. And on that day, he'll only go with those people that acted and worked and interacted with the Quran in their lifetime. People are jealous. They wish for this Quran in its physical form to be part of them. Quran will never be part of you. Unless today in this world, you are of those who amilta bi kitabik, who acted on the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why you find in the life of Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam, in every occasion, every part of his life, a person who was mufassir of Quran and was amil al-Quran. Of one of the examples, as I said in the previous nights, the examples are many. The discussions of Ziyarat Aminullah are very deep. I'm giving just certain issues to do with the ziyarah. Otherwise, just the first few sentences can take half of Shahr Ramadan just to analyze, without exaggeration. Looking at the life of Ali bin Abi Talib as Amir, someone who acted on Kareem, why? This is mentioned actually from Nahjul Balagha. Nahjul Balagha, we're told that Ibn Abbas is traveling once with Ali bin Abi Talib, salamullah alayhi, and we're told that this was close to the Battle of Jamal, as if they're traveling to the towards where the Battle of Jamal takes place. They had stopped in a certain place. Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullah alayhi at that moment in time is Khalif. Is the Khalif of the Muslimin. He has power in his hands, he has Baytul Mal, he has everything in his possession, in his power. And Ibn Abbas says, I saw and I looked at the shoes of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And I saw that his shoes have been patched up, they're very old, they're very tattered. And I was wondering and I was surprised. And as I was thinking this, how old are these shoes, how they have been patched up, and we wouldn't expect the leader of the Muslimin to have this. Suddenly, Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullah alayhi looks at me and says, Ma qimatu hadha an-na'al. Ibn Abbas, what do you think is the worth and the price of these shoes? He said, La qimata lahu. Ibn Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ibn Abi Talib, ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. These cost nothing. People won't even pay you anything to buy them. How many times they've been torn, how many times they've been repaired. Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullah alayhi then gives an answer, which is exactly what we're speaking about how he, all of his life, works to act on the key teachings of Quran al-Kareem. He says, this imara, this hukuma, this khilafah, this leadership, on one side, these shoes of mine are more worthy to me than all of that khilafah, than all of that leadership. Unless and until that khilafah and that leadership is used to remove batil and to bring about haqq and justice. For Ali ibn Abi Talib, he says, I would rather just have these shoes than even look at this khilafah and leadership that the people have forced upon me. Unless and until that leadership, that khilafah, that hukuma is used to remove batil and to bring about haqq. I.e. Ali ibn Abi Talib is saying what? These things that come into my hands, if I cannot use them to act upon the key teachings of Quran al-Kareem, then they're useless to me. Imam Sajjad says, وَعَمِلْتَ بِكِتَابِكَ, and you acted on the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was regards to this sentence. Then, as I said, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam takes it further and he says, وَاتَّبَعْتَ سُنَنَ نَبِيِّكَ, and you acted on the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Again, a number of discussions here arise. When we speak about the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, we are told, and many of you have heard in the story of Mi'raj, a place known as Sidratul Muntaha. Sidratul Muntaha being that place where, according to riwayat, a lot of people say we don't actually know what Sidratul Muntaha is. In fact, the word Sidra, even though literally Sidratul Muntaha refers to a tree, the furthest point, but in actual fact, the word Sidra comes from a word in Arabic which means to be confused. Because we don't really understand what this is. It confuses us what Sidratul Muntaha actually is referring to. Is it a station? Is it a physical tree? Some said it's a physical tree. Some said that point in Mi'raj known as Sidratul Muntaha is metaphorical what it actually was. What we do know, however, is that Jibreel is unable to go further, and the Prophet of Islam goes further to the Sidratul Muntaha. The riwayat then speak about what type of people can reach that station and status that not even Jibreel is able to reach. That status that not even Jibreel can get to. I.e., human beings, what can you do so that you can reach a status when you're higher and more elevated than the angel Jibreel? The hadith says if a person wishes to reach Sidratul Muntaha, then they need to act on the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Al-amal ala sunnat Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi is that which takes a person to these lofty stations. And when we look at this idea of acting on the sunnah, i.e. we mean the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alayhi wa alihi in his life did many things. In fact, I often say that one of the most beautiful things that we have been given as Muslims and as followers of the school of Ahlul Bayt alayhim wassalam is that almost every single part of our life has been spoken about, explained, and we have been given the etiquettes by the Holy Aimma and Ahlul Bayt alayhim wassalam. Almost every part of my life, whether it's to do with how I sleep, riwayah to do with how to sleep, whether to do how to wake up, how to brush your teeth, how to eat, how to drink, how to live your life, how to speak with people, how to dress, the perfume that I should use. In fact, even the amount of times that I should comb my hair and comb my beard and how I should beautify myself. All of these issues have been mentioned by the Ahlul Bayt. Now, where do you find such a holistic religion which gives me every single part of my life? When I wish to study, how I should study. When I wish to work, how I should work. When I wish to start something, how I should start something. All of that. What type of friends I should make. What type of what I should look at when I'm getting married, for example. All of these things mentioned by Ahlul Bayt. The Sunnah of the Prophet of Islam, therefore, was something that looked at all of my life and told me that this aspect of your life, this is how the Prophet of Islam acted on the same thing. This is how you dress. This is what the Prophet of Islam would say, dress like this. What type of colors to it. This is how you would pray. The Prophet of Islam said, do this in your prayer. Every single part of my life, I have certain recommendations that the Prophet of Islam would perform. The Prophet of Islam may not have said this is wajib for you to follow. But he said, as part of my sunnah, it's better to do this. What people often don't understand about the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam, and that which is classified as mustahab, i.e., everyone follows wajib. Inshallah, everyone prays their salah, everyone does sawm, everyone goes to hajj at least once. Everyone does that which is wajib. But there are a much smaller group of people that act on that which is mustahab. And the reason behind that is maybe they don't understand What actually is the benefit of acting on this on these sunan, on that which is recommended, on that which is mustahab? Some people think it's just extra thawab, extra reward, and they say to themselves, I'd rather have comfort in this world than have more reward in the next. A lot of people have that. For example, it's the sunnah to try and be in wudu as much as possible at all times if possible. People would say, I'd rather not have to keep on performing wudu. I'd rather be comfortable than gain this reward of being in tahara all the time in the akhir. There are certain other things that are must have. For example, it's must have for a person to recite the adhan, iqamah, before my salah. A lot of people say, I'd rather have comfort and not have to do it, not have to astaghfirullah, na'udhu billah, bother to do it, rather than gain thawab in the akhirah. Because they think that acting on the sunnah and the mustahab only gives me what? Increase in reward. However, the reality was that no, one of the greatest benefits of sunnah, yes, as I said, sidratul muntaha, extra reward for acting on these mustahabbat and the sunan, and looking at the life of the Prophet of Islam and taking it as your exemplary. But in addition to this, one of the greatest benefits that people didn't understand of that which is mustahab is often something which is recommended helps me to preserve something which is wajib. The reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala often has placed things which are mustahab is they protect or they enhance that which is wajib. For example, I said to always be in the state of tahara. To always be in the state of tahara has many benefits. For example, the waswas of shaitan doesn't come to that person. When a person is always in the state of tahara, nur comes on that person's face. But one of the greatest benefits is that when it comes to the time of salah, how many people, the time of salah has just set in, but I can't be bothered to perform wudu. Due to not wanting to perform wudu, they delay their salah. Due to I don't want to get wet and then I have to dry my face and dry my hands and the water is cold, mathalan. Due to not wishing to do that, what will they do? They'll delay their salah. But if a person was already in the state of wudu from before, then this allows a person to perform their salah more easily, i.e. it enhances that which is wajib. Likewise, I said, for example, performing the adhan and performing the iqamah, something mustahab. It enhances that which is wajib salah in this case. How? Because when I perform adhan and iqamah, my mind is more focused and it gets focused that I'm speaking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that by the time that I say Allahu Akbar and enter into my salah, I have a bit of focus towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, attentiveness towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In opposition to someone who straight away says Allahu Akbar and then he starts thinking, what am I doing? Who am I speaking to? What am I doing right now? If I had done adhan and iqamah before, it gives me time to prepare. So the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam and that which is mustahab enhances that which is wajib. And often we find people, and I mentioned or I indicated towards this a few nights ago, often we look for something much higher than what we should actually be doing. The amal on the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam was that which made someone ascend towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you read the way in which he lived his life, when you see how he would eat, all of these things have physical benefits, have spiritual benefits. There was once a brother who I had seen, and he told me of one of the ulama who had come to somewhere in the West. This alim deen was a mujtahid, a well-known personality, and he used to visit a certain community for years upon end. And they had heard that this person is, for example, very well versed in irfan and spirituality and all of these things. And he was a mujtahid from the city of Mashhad. So they would, whenever they would hear that he's speaking, they would come and hopefully they'd hear things about spirituality. They want to hear things about irfan. We want to hear things about mysticism. But whenever he would sit on the minbar, he wouldn't speak about any of those. All he would speak about is salah, prayers. So once they heard him, they listened to what he said, second time, third time. Eventually they said, for years upon end, he's been coming to us. He's a very pure alim. He's very knowledgeable. All he talks about is salah. So they came to him one day and they said, Sayyid, for years now we've been hearing you and you're telling us about Salah. Tell us something else, what you had studied in Mashhad. Tell us about irfan, spirituality, these philosophical things. Tell us these things. You know what his reply was? His reply was one of hikmah. He said, have you acted on my first lesson that I go to lesson number 2? And when I said read Salah, do you read Salah like the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Do you even perform Salah with the Sunnah that the Prophet of Islam used to do? The way in which before he combs his hair, he wears rings, for example, when he's praying his Salah, he places perfume, you do some of the nawafil. Have you done even the first lesson that I can go to the second? They said no. He said, first, act on this first lesson of mine, then we'll go somewhere else and look at mysticism and spirituality. I.e., first I need to implement in my life this Sunnah of the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Ahlul Bayt alayhi wasallam, how they live their lives. And that's why Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says, Ashhadu annaka jahadta fillah haqqa jihadi wa amilta bi kitabah, you acted on the book of God, wa taba'ta sunana nabiyyih, and you followed the Sunnah of the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam in your life. Before we finish, I wish to give one anecdote that I often give in this regard about the importance that ulama would give to acting on this Sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam, acting on the Sunnah of the Prophet of Islam. On one occasion, this was about 1960s, let's say 1970s, two of the ulama, I don't want to mention their names at this moment in time, as it has no benefit to the story, otherwise they are very well-known ulama. These two ulama had traveled from Najaf al-Ashraf to the holy city of Karbala. And these two were very good friends. They were very good friends with one another, similar age, very knowledgeable, very big teachers of the Hawza. They had been invited to a person's house to eat, and all of the ulama that had been invited were present. And these two being the most senior, of course, the etiquette normally is the person of ilm that is there, a person of faqaha, a jurist. Of course, they give respect. And they wish for him to start first. And even this is something that a lot of people, they don't have. For example, your parents are sitting, they start, at least they initiate. Other people who are more muhtaram, who are people of ilm, who are your teachers, for example, if you're eating with them, the respect is you let them start first. Or you at least place it in front of them to start first. They're sitting there, and out of these two, one is Shaykh, one is Sayyid. The Shaykh was slightly older. And so all of them are waiting for these two. And the Sayyid looks at the Shaykh, him being older, that, please start. So the Shaykh is looking right to left and says, I don't see salt anywhere. And as we know, it's mustahab and part of the Sunnah of the Prophet of Islam that when I start my food, I start with a bit of salt. Even though today people say, no, that was for that time. And we have a lot of these type of people in this day and age that they take ahkam and they understand ahkam with their own intellect. You know, a lot of people say, no, you shouldn't. The reason why the Prophet of Islam did this was because this was present. The reason why he didn't do this was this. How do you know these things? Did the riwayah come and tell you that the reason why the Prophet of Islam ate salt was because of this, and the reason why he performed salah in this way was because of this? How do you know these things? Ulama, they act on the Sunnah of the Prophet of Islam. He says, I'm waiting for salt. They looked around, no salt was there. The host had forgotten to place salt on the table, and so he goes for a while and he brings it back. Either there was no salt there, he couldn't find it. It took a while, it took a few minutes. By the time then it comes back to him and it's placed there, he tastes some of the salt and they stop. Afterwards, now as I said, these are two friends. They can speak to each other, they can be frank with each other. Afterwards, the Sayyid goes to the Shaykh and says, if you are that much multazim, if you ensure all the time that you act on this Sunnah of the Prophet of Islam, then maybe keep a bit of salt with you, so that when you go somewhere, you don't, for example, delay others. Today we were delayed because of this Sunnah. It's a very good thing, but we don't want to delay others. Everyone had to wait for this. So he opens out his pocket and he takes out a small pouch of salt. He says, I always keep this with me so I can act on the Sunnah of the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But I was trying to teach those people something. I was trying to teach those people the importance of acting on the Sunnah and the way of life of the Prophet of Islam, even if necessarily I don't understand it. Who says that everything in my religion I have to understand? Not everything I understand. Many things are to do with ghaib. Many things, the hikmah and wisdom behind, I don't know at this moment in time. The true people are those who act on the sunan of the Prophet of Islam, and Amirul Mu'mineen is that person who acted completely on the kitab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and acted completely on the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us in this holy month to gain from the Quran al-Kareem, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the sunnah of his holy prophet and the sunnah of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, to be able to understand the seerah of Ali bin Abi Talib salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi and act upon this seerah to be able to hasten the reappearance of Sahib al-Asr wal Zaman and get closer to the Hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on his earth. And we pray with the sake of Sahib al-Asr wal Zaman, that all those who are mubtala, who are suffering that we are facing.